Call the August 17th meeting of the County Commissioners to order. And the first item on the agenda is public input. Mr. Babson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioners, last night it was the advisory board meeting of the cooperative extension.
I apologize,
And,
excuse me.
I wasn't going to point out that somebody was missing, so you
I
don't need to apologize.
I do indeed.
But there is great concern about what's going to happen or what will happen, what the vote will be or will be taken on Monday. Are you going to present to the delegation a estimated cost for
Yes.
redoing the?
Yes.
Do you think that the delegation will be voting on whether the co-op should be moving into the building or not?
I can't predict.
It's coming down, if push comes to shove, we've got it's $1 million more on the fiber optic line. That's what precipitated this, because they've got to know whether we're gonna move here or not, so they can decide where to put the line.
It's a delegation right now. It's up to them. I think as far as the majority of the commissioners, and the delegation has voted probably twice over the years that cooperative extension would be here on campus.
That's what I told them last night.
What's that?
I said that last night.
You said that last night.
And you also have the issue of, if you tear down the nursing home, what are you gonna do with the facilities that you've planned to put there? You're gonna have to build another building, and that makes no sense at all.
Right. Well, we got a problem. We got all the electrical stuff that goes into that building. Right from the get-go, laundry was going to stay there, maintenance was going to stay there, and cooperative extension was going to go there. And the reason for laundry and maintenance staying there is because we wanted to keep the costs down on the new building. So, I will have estimates to do the core section over, and also an estimate to do one wing over.
Okay.
The maintenance department has requested, and I've got it here somewhere, I believe it's 5 rooms.
4.
6 available in 6 resident rooms. 6 rooms is what they're looking for on one wing for maintenance, for storage of not only personal things from the nursing home, but other items as well in separate rooms. So I've got that information as well.
Excuse me, David,
Go
did
ahead.
you say a core section would be core and one wing, or core and 2 wings?
I would like to see the core in 2 wings.
What did you
However,
say,
right
one-
now, one wing would be mothballed, the other wing would be used for maintenance.
Okay, but.
I'm gonna let the
but
delegate-
But you're talking about leaving 2 wings.
I will be talking
Maybe we
about
won't
leaving 2
use one
wings.
right away, but
Yep,
the quote you have there is for 2 wings and.
yep.
Okay.
Well, we'll have the estimate come Monday, as to what it will cost. I think we're gonna be surprised. I think it's gonna be a lot more than what we were looking at. I mean, the delegation was looking at 500,000. Representative Algren was gonna make a motion for 700,000. I think it's gonna come in higher than that. So we're gonna have to cut back somewhere, because I bet it'll be over $1 million.
Okay. Well, I've forgotten what the other issue.
Yeah, the other issue, I talked with Ann yesterday, and she said she'd bring it up, and that's regionalization.
Oh, no, I'm
Did that
reminded
come
now,
up?
but go ahead. Yeah.
Did that come up?
No,
It didn't.
we discussed with Lisa, they're going to have at the end of this year 18 open positions, and how can you run a program with 18 open positions?
Well, I think there were
So
6 that were taken the early out,
She had it broken down, but so at the end of the
and
year,
one was
there'll
from
be
this
12.
county.
There'll be 18 at the end of the.
Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
other
the-
issue, the other thing was, quote that Bob Murray sent on,
Yes,
13,
I talked to her about that.
that's crazy. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is.
It's absolutely nuts. And then to put a profit on top of it?
Yeah,
I mean, we're not running a private business here.
right.
So
I
hope
fully
you'll
understood
consider
that, and that's why I sent that to her, to have her look at it, or the council look at it. And in talking with her, I agree that we're not in the making profit, and that do they need a maintenance person or a housekeeper or whatever, 1 day a week for an hour or two? And she said, no, they can empty their own trash when they have to, but maybe once a week for a couple of hours.
Okay,
So the
so
maintenance,
that situation has been cleared up,
well,
that cost.
what was the council's feeling?
Well, she just mentioned that he had quoted $13,000 to clean the building. They're not paying anywhere near that now.
Right.
And
I mean, I think he was looking at the square footage and what he thought that they would need. So I have no qualms with what he came up with, and he said it was negotiable, and I haven't talked with him about that, but I will.
okay, thank you.
The other reason I called her was at the New Hampshire Association of Counties meeting on Friday. It was brought up again by George McGlaris, who is the commissioner of the Stratford County Board of Commissioners. And he is still talking about cooperative extension and regionalizing it so that maybe Stratford and Belknap would pay a certain amount to Carroll County to have Carroll County be the regional office for all three counties. And he says that that will come up for discussion at some point in time. And he said that Stratford County would be willing to pay a certain amount to have that coverage. And I said, I don't think from in the past that the county council, extension council, would support such an item. But I said that would be up to them. Because in the past, the council has voted to keep it just for Carroll County, serve our own and not everybody else.
Well, that's not quite apples to apples. Our concern was we would be paying the educator, and UNH would be directing them to go down to do a project, to go down to do.
Oh.
If,
you think
if Stratford turns around and pays, that's much nicer. But I asked Russ about spending a couple of hours with me on a project here, and he opened up his book, and he's booked right up just with Carroll County.
Yeah.
So now they start sending them to Stratford and Rockingham and Belknap. It just won't work.
Yeah.
But no, that did not come up.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Albee?
Hadn't been here for a couple of weeks, but I know that I sent you a kind of a sketch on how to financially work the,
That has been sent out
The
to
old
all
nursing home.
representatives.
and have we gotten any feedback on that?
No, not that I know of.
One thing that I sort of neglected there, because I didn't really think it had legs, was this idea of eliminating the building altogether.
Limiting what?
Eliminating the building altogether.
Oh,
And if you look at the costs involved in that, you have to look at the demolition cost. But in addition to the demolition cost, which I estimated to be somewhere around $300,000, you still have to construct something for your pellet boiler
yep.
to realize the savings on that. Perhaps you should ask Bonnet, Page and Stone what a basic building to house that would cost, which I'm gonna guess is probably gonna be somewhere around $100,000, let's say, for argument's sake.
Mhm.
So now you've got $400,000 invested in this site, and you're still gonna spend the $500,000 in rent over the next 10 or 15 or 20 years for the cooperative extension.
Mhm.
You've spent $1 million and essentially ended up with one little building with a pellet boiler in it, and no control whatsoever
Well,
over
we
the
gotta
cost of rental.
we gotta have space for a laundry.
So if you add the laundry to it,
It's gotta go somewhere.
add a couple $100,000 more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty easy to come up with a lot of money either way.
Yeah,
And I think
Yeah.
reconstructing part or all of the building gives you a lot more space for a lot less money per square foot.
yeah.
And then it's a matter of how you utilize the square footage.
Right now,
Unfortunately, there's no active discussion about the pragmatic uses of the building other than the cooperative extension.
Mhm.
And I know that at one point in time there was a talk about a daycare, and that seems to have ended, because I think from some people's perspective who are maybe less informed, they're thinking of free daycare for the employees of Carroll County, when in fact what you do would be have a for-profit private daycare center on campus.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at Sandy's ability to hire, changes the dynamic completely when you start putting a facility like that in.
yeah,
Or the notion of utilizing the kitchen area as an incubator for a small business. I've been approached by 4 different people in Tuftonboro, which is a very small town, who are doing things like catering the upcoming Marriott wedding, or working the desserts for a particular group of restaurants, who are trying to find kitchen space within which to operate, that it's commercial kitchen space. I mean, that's a very profitable business model that could be set up, but there's no discussion about that because we're mired in this notion of the expansion of government. And I don't know how you're going to get over that. They can't get over it in Washington, but I would think here in Carroll County, where we've got the example of what has happened with our nursing home in the last 2 years or 3 years, as a positive example of how to operate things, that it might be easier. But
I would hope that you'd bring that up on Monday. When it
I'm not
comes
sure
time.
many of those people really enjoy what I have to say.
Well,
But I think
That
it's
doesn't
important that
matter.
we have those discussions, at least to have an informed, because if you start telling the taxpayers you're going to spend $1 million, or let's say you spend $800,000 getting rid of the building and building something for the pellet boiler and the laundry,
yeah.
how sensible, if you were a stockholder in that company, you'd be calling for some heads. I mean, that's a really silly way to spend money. So
I
anyway.
think also the daycare, can't think of her name now, but she was with the community development.
Right.
She was over to pick blueberries the other day, and she said, "Is anything happening?" She said, "I think the daycare issue would be a good one, and they could give matching dollars or funding for a daycare center not run by the county, but run privately
Right.
on a county facility."
Right.
So
And
that is a possibility.
You know, it would be.
And Sandy,
Sure.
did you find out how many people would be interested in daycare at the nursing home? No.
I did speak to Rob, sorry.
Okay.
You don't have anything else to do?
It
do you?
left me when I left the building, and I
Okay.
apologize for that.
No problem.
I can
No
find
problem.
that out, though. I can.
It'd be interesting to know. I know over the years, since I've been here, there's always been a problem with daycare, with people trying to get here on the time schedule that's set up, and having kids that the daycare center is not open yet,
Right.
and there's been a problem there. I don't think the county ought to get into it, but I think privately, if there's somebody that wanted to do that, I think that might be a
And it's the same thing
possibility.
that's true across the street at the court. I mean, you have a
True.
significant number of employees over there at the jail. There's any
Yeah.
number of things.
Yeah.
I mean, and going to the grant money. I mean, it fascinates me with the purported business acumen that our delegates seem to think they have, that they don't take advantage of the cost of money. I mean, it is fascinating to me that where you have such a low cost of money, that you don't utilize that progressively or